Time. Many IT professionals know how important time is. Yet, we underestimate what can go wrong if time synchronization fails. In today's Threat Talks The Deep Dive, we dive deep into Precision Time Protocol, or shortly, PTP. Let's get on to it.
Welcome to Threat Talks. Let's delve deep into the dynamic world of cybersecurity.
My guest for today is Jan van Boesschoten, the Innovation Manager at AMS-IX. I think the second time here, so welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
And my name is Rob Maas, Field CTO at Ontoit. And today with Jan, we dive deep into the Precision Time Protocol. Jan, time. Why is time important?
Well, time is pretty important because we're here at the same time. If we didn't have time, we couldn't be here at the same time. And what I really, most of the time, the example I use to stress the importance of time is the Formula One. I think you know Max Verstappen.
Yes, famous Dutch F1 guy.
Yeah. And when they start a race, they always have training laps to decide who's first when the real race starts. And it was in 2024, I think it was the Grand Prix of Canada, that he and his most famous competitor, I think he's called Russell, they managed to have the same time in the lap that they did.
That's for the qualification.
That's for the qualification, yeah. And that was measured on a thousandth of a second. And then even, with Max Verstappen and Russell, which is a human-to-machine interaction, I think, then even a thousandth of a second is not accurate enough to decide who won or not, and that who has the best time. And there are only 20 cars in a Formula One race. So there you see that precision time, PTP, of this was NTP. NTP is on a thousandth of a second, is not enough to see what's coming first or not.
Okay, and this time they have a rule for it. They say, okay, whoever sets the time first takes the pole.
Yeah.
But if they would have been using PTP, it would be more accurate.
It would be more accurate.
Oh, okay, that's good.
We definitely would have know who was fastest.
Okay, yeah. I think I know, but
Max was faster. I know. I'm sure.
Okay, but PTP mainly is being used not in human-to-machine communication, but of course machine-to-machine communication.
Yes. Exactly.
Do you have some examples of that?
Well, when you have machine-to-machine communications, there are a lot of systems that have more than 10,000 transactions per second. So when you have more than 10,000 transactions per second, NTP, what most time servers use, is not accurate enough because 9,999, and then you can't divide anymore.
Now, what happens if you get more than 1,000 messages per second?
Well, you don't know which one is first, or you don't know the accurate stream of events. So you can't measure it anymore because then, exactly as with Max Verstappen and Russell, they happen at the same time.
We have no rule to decide.
No,
who will win.
No. And then I think then we get really stressed if we have to do two things at the same time. I think a server get really stressed when it has to do 10,000 things at the same time.
Okay.
So and therefore we have PTP, Precision Time Protocol, which measures time in microseconds. So that's far more accurate.
And do you have some examples of organizations that are already using it or should be using PTP?
Well, of course, we have Flitch Trading that needs a really accurate time.
Flitch Trading is high frequency.
Yeah, high frequency trading. They need accurate time, really accurate. But also with e-commerce, if you take an important e-commerce site, Amazon, Bol, I think they have more than 10,000 transactions per second. So their NTP is not sufficient anymore. You also need very accurate time tracking in media because of lip syncing, that people can see us talking and the sound at the same time also has to do with time. So electricity, and I don't know exactly how electricity works, but it has also a sequence of events that needs to be precisely timed. If that's not going well, the electricity grid comes down, which happens once in a while.
Okay, that would be really bad if
That would be really bad. If we don't have electricity, we don't have time.
We're mainly focusing now on the number of events per second.
Yeah.
But also, of course, the time should be the correct time.
Yes.
And does P2P offer something to forecome or prevent time drifting?
P2P in itself not, but the time server does. You always need multiple sources of time, because then you know when it's drifting. If you have only one time source and it starts drifting, you don't know that it's drifting, because it's the only time
it's the
you
source
have.
of truth you have.
Yeah. So therefore, it's often you have multiple sources of time, or you should have multiple sources of time, so you can more or less balance what the right time is.
Okay.
And that's happening worldwide on a very high level. There are like 450 atomic clock worldwide. They are compared constantly, and the average is used as the correct time.
Okay, and I believe in the US it's NIST taking care of the time. Do you know who does that in the Netherlands?
In the Netherlands, we have VSL, this Van Swindon Lab. VSL, Van Swindon Lab. They are the official timekeeper in the Netherlands, and they have really, really accurate time. They're also part of the international organization that measure this time, and they're one of the most trusted sources. I think they won the first, they also have a prize of the most accurate, and they won, well, not one, but they are seen as one of the best accurate sources in the Netherlands, worldwide.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so as at AMS-IX, you decided you should offer a precision time protocol time service.
Yeah.
What's the main reason for that?
Well, the main reason for it is that, it was about time. Now, a lot of organizations have their time through satellites. In a lot of networks, time is the single point of failure, because they only have one time source. And when it comes from the satellite, you only have one signal, and that signal is easy to jam and to spoof, and that can be accidentally, because you have a lot of truck drivers that don't want to be tracked, and they is also tracked by satellite, and they drive by and they have a small device that you can buy on Alibaba.com that blocks the signal, so they don't know whether you're driving and where you're driving, so you can drive more hours than you're allowed. If a truck like that drives next to your antenna, your time is blocked, and then you don't have a backup. So that can cause a lot of disturbance in your network. Therefore, we decided, hey, we can deliver time over the network, but to deliver time costs time. So it's kind of a complicated thing. You send time away, then of course it takes time.
Yeah, but you're not delivering the time over the same satellites, I think.
No, we deliver we get the time from VSL over fiber,
Okay.
and from there we distribute it. So it is an alternative backup source. You also can use it as a primary source, but it's a different time than from the satellites.
Okay, but you get the time from VSL over fiber.
Yeah.
That there is a distance between it.
Yeah.
It needs even on fiber, it costs time to travel.
Yeah.
How do you cope with that?
Well, we have something that's called UTC, Universal Traceable Time, and universal. It goes wrong, because you had the French and the English, and they were fighting about how it was called, and they came in the middle with UTC, and in French it is a different abbreviation than in English, but you need to be UTC traceable.
It's the worldwide standard.
Yeah, it's the worldwide standard, and it is Universal Central Time, I think, and something like that. You need to be universal traceable, so you can have a delay as long as you know what the delay is. And the industry standard is around, you can have a delay between 20 and 30 microseconds. That's allowed. So if you say, I'm UTC traceable, I have 5 microseconds delay, then it's okay, because we know transporting time takes time. So we have a connection with VSL, and we haven't optimized it yet, but we have 1 microsecond delay.
So it might even get a bit
it
lower.
even get less. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So therefore you can therefore you can offer UTC traceable time.
Okay. And so what I see with most customers is NTP used for getting the logs synchronized across all devices. But I don't often hear of P2P at customer sites. Are there already a lot of organizations using P2P? Is it relatively new, or?
Well, there are, when you dive into time, it's really interesting. Having thousands of seconds, also your software needs to be able to handle thousands of seconds. If you go from thousands of seconds to 1 millions of a second, also the software needs to support that, because you get a lot of positions after the dot. P2P is often also is already used, because you also can get it from the satellite, but due to the geopolitical situations, it's the satellite signal is not it's not trustful or trustable anymore.
It is because different countries are managing their satellites?
No, people are just jamming in them. And
Okay.
I don't want to call any names, but we can think about Russia. And you have like a map, a world map, where you can see where, the most jamming is going on. And then you can see, we heard about the plane that crashed in Azerbaijan, but can be in that neighborhood, and that was because of a GPS signal that was jammed, and therefore they were shut down. So it can have really severe consequences. And now I've got your question, because I just drifted off like time.
Yeah, I don't see this precision time protocol being used at customer side. So the question is, should more organizations use it, or why aren't organizations using it?
Yeah, I think one of the things is that the digitization of society, is rapidly increasing. So therefore, also the transactions are increasing. Maybe until a few years ago, it was okay to have NTP, but now more and more digitization is going on. So you get more and more transactions. So you need to be more and more precise, because it's really important that you know what events are occurring after each other in your network. Because if you're jammed or if you're hacked, you need to find out what happened after what, so you can find the root cause.
Yeah, that's very important. Every IT professional that had to do some troubleshooting or finding a root cause, working with multiple logs, knows what a pain it is if those logs are not synchronized.
Yeah. That's the main reason. This is security one. Knowing, and of course, there it starts. You need to know what happens after each other. And if you have a lot of transaction, you need to have a more precise time.
Yeah, so you expect that also more network components that do logging on the network will also support P2P in the future if they don't do already.
Yes, and you also with NTP is also good, but you have NTP is you also have a lot of public NTP service. They are also attacked. So what we also can offer is private NTP. So you're sure that your NTP signal is also safe, because public servers are also a target for hacking.
And did that NTP service is coming from the same source?
Yeah, it's coming from the same source, but it's a different protocol.
Yeah, but it's still pretty accurate because the source is really trustworthy.
Yeah, and in NTP we talk about stratum. Stratum 0, that's the source, and then you have stratum 1, 2, 3, 4, I think till 5, and the number says how far the time server is away from the original source. So we deliver stratum 1, so that's one step away from the original source. If you have stratum 5 time service, you're 5 steps away.
Okay, and that means also that NIST or VSL are source 0?
Yeah. They are in PTP they are the master clock, the grand master, and in NTP they are Stratum 0. Yeah,
And
exactly.
Maybe we skipped a bit over it, but what would happen if an attacker accomplished to tamper with the time at the NIST or the VSL, this Stratum 0 source?
Well, first of all, I think at VSL it's very hard to get to the source there. It's a bunker, and you also see one of our partners is NetNot in Sweden. It's also on IX. They have a really heavy, severe time setup, and they have like 5-6 atom clocks. That's where it starts with an atom clock in bunkers, and you can't get there. So, but what happens if your time is hacked and then suddenly the computer can send a message from the future? If you put it like 10 minutes later, then suddenly you get, hey, I have here, it's 12:10 and I get a message from 12:20.
Okay, then we need a DeLorean to fix the problem.
Exactly. So, and that's you mess up the synchronization between systems.
Okay.
And imagine what will happen with the electricity if that's not synchronized. And suddenly you get things from the future, then it's...
Okay. If energy goes down, then we have maybe other problems than time synchronization at that moment.
Yeah, but if time synchronization is the cause, or is then...
Yeah, we need to fix the cause.
Yeah.
What would you say is worse, having an incorrect time or having no time at all?
Depends what you're doing, but of course, incorrect time. If you know it's incorrect time, because that's what we also say about UTC traceable. You have not the UTC time, but you can trace it back to UTC.
Yeah, maybe UTC doesn't apply to time zones, right?
No. That's
completely
one
independent.
Time. Yeah. Time zones is something different.
We invented it to make our lives hard.
Yeah, we have TIE, that is atomic time. Then you have UTC, and we have astronomic time. That's what our Earth does, and that's also really funny. I don't know, but like 230 million years ago, a day had only 21 hours, and a year had 400 days. So every year a day get, I think it's 0.00017 seconds longer. And of course, in our life, we don't, it doesn't really go like, oh, when I was young, the days were shorter. But over a long period of time, you see it really has a big impact.
So in another million years, if humans still exist, they have days of 30 hours maybe.
Probably. And I hope that we still have an 8-day hour, 8 hours that we have to work.
Exactly, that we have some free time.
But it happens a lot. Also, because we do a lot with water, we building dams, and so also the globe, the Earth itself is out of balance. That really influence the time. And when we had the earthquake in 2011 in Fukushima, it speeded up the rotation of the Earth with 1.8 millionth of a second. So, all the astronomic time it's not stable. That's why they came up with atomic time and derived UTC. That, and every year, so every 30 days, there's a group of people coming together. And they decided, they look at the astronomic time, they look at the TIE time and UTC, and then they decide what the correct time was 30 days ago.
just to validate that they're right on track.
Yeah. And that's great about time. And when you look about time over history, it's really funny.
Okay, it's certainly more complex than I anticipated. At AMS-IX, you offer this P2P time service. What do you do as a backup? So you have the VSL connection where you get your source from, but if that fails, what?
Well, of course, we have within our time server, we have a fallover. So when the original signal drops, always can happen. And of course, we have redundancy and we do everything to prevent that. There's an internal clock that can provide the right time for 14 days. And we validate the time that we get. Well, we also have a connection with the satellite, but that's only to see what's going on with the time.
Yeah, or to detect time drift, maybe.
Yes, to see whether of course the signal is always good. What we get, it's one of the best signals in the world. But you keep on checking what the time is with the satellites. So then you also can see if the satellites are hacked or what's going on, are drifting.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of components coming together in order to make sure that you can deliver a good time, and then you need a good protocol like PTP to make sure that you are delivering the right time and very precise time in this case.
Yeah. It sounds easy, but it's complex.
I just learned a lot of things about time today. I think it brings us to our conclusion. So I think for you as a listener, it's really important to figure out where does your time come from. Do you know the source? Do you know how accurate it is? Maybe you should also know how many transactions per second you need to log, because I just learned that if it is over, I believe, 10,000 yen, then you need to switch from NTP to PTP because NTP is not sufficient anymore. So it would be a good thing to see what is your source of time, investigate it. Maybe you need to change it or make plans for the future, because securing your time is also securing your organization. And with that, thank you, Jan. Thank you, listener, and hope you like this episode. So please like and subscribe. So that helps us to spread the word further. And with that, thank you.
Thank you for listening to Threat Talks, a podcast by Onto-It Cybersecurity and AMS-IX. Did you like what you heard? Do you want to learn more? Follow Threat Talks to stay up to date on the topic of cybersecurity.